Hi, I'm Mrs. Bastide,
Hi, I'm Mrs. Winkle.
and we're your third grade teachers. We're here today to tell you a little bit about how and what we do in third grade. I'm going to start with our literacy program. In our third grade program, we do a story a week most of the time, but once in a while we're going to do things like literature circles or maybe even an entire group story that we work on a chapter book together as well. So we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit this year with our stories. But for the most part right now, we're just doing a weekly story, which comes out of our Wonders reading book. We also incorporate Accelerated Reader, or AR as it's known by the kids, into third grade. And we will be setting goals for each of the students based on their STAR reading test and what we think that they are capable of achieving. And over the course of the year, those goals will increase, and that's what we want to see. We want to see those goals increase so that their reading level also increases. The next component in the literacy program is our word study, or maybe you know it better as spelling. And in spelling, each week we have a weekly skill. You noticed this week that we gave you a letter. We sent home a letter, and in that letter that we should be sending home every week, you'll have 10 words that follow the weekly skill. And then you also have some high frequency words. And high frequency words are just words that the kids will just see on a regular basis and are really important for them to learn how to spell. The word study skill each week will change unless we feel that maybe they didn't do so hot on one and we need to actually readdress it again and spend some more time on that skill. They have 10 words that are on that home letter that we send. And then they also are going to be tested over an additional 10 words. And those additional 10 words are going to follow the same pattern that we are working on for the week. And then lastly, in our literacy, we also incorporate our handwriting program. And in third grade, we focus completely on cursive writing. We will continue to kind of push through that. It seems like we kind of had a slow start right now with it, but don't worry. By the time spring comes around, they'll all be writing in such beautiful cursive writing. And so we will get there with that for sure.
I'm talking about a religion. We use the Be My Disciples curriculum set forth by the Diocese of Little Rock. We have a lesson or chapter that we use each week. And so we read from the chapter each day. Once we reach the end of the chapter, the kids can go online. There's different games and activities that they can do to review. There's also a chapter review that they can complete. And at the very end, they can enter our email addresses and send us the completed quiz. It is redoable, so you can do it until they get them all correct. At the end of the week, we will also have a test just to kind of go over main concepts, words that we covered over the course of the week. And then, yes, and also for extra credit, the reviews are for extra credit. So math, for math we use Saxon. I actually grew up using Saxon, so I'm very familiar with the program. I love how it spirals. So meaning that one concept isn't just taught and then forgotten. It comes back every single lesson and every single homework piece, and it's just filtered throughout the entire year. And then usually on their homework you'll see the new concept, but there's only one or two problems with that. So it's that idea of repeating the concepts over and over until they really understand them. So the way our days usually work is we start with a morning meeting where we talk about time and the calendar and the months and the days of the week. And we practice problems like that. We'll have a word problem. We work with money. All just good concepts for third grade. And then we move on to our fact assessments. So if they're learning multiplication, which we'll get to at some point, they'll be usually timed over a course of 1 or 2 minutes, just to see. I want to see how fast and how accurately that they can complete their worksheet, and then they'll have another piece, the flip side, which they can take home for homework and practice later that evening. There's may or may not, sometimes we have like some lesson pieces that we incorporate, so maybe measuring lines or working with different shapes that we work with in the lesson. That's not homework, we're just doing it in our lesson. And then we also have our guided practice that I will work each child through, Mrs. Bastide, in our lessons. And we work through each problem, we talk about each problem, and we work it through together as a class, coming to a concurrent answer. Both the fact practice and the guided practice homework, guided assignments usually have a flip side of homework, so that's something that needs to be done each night. So always make sure to check that your child doesn't have something that needs to be done for math. We'll also be introducing the new Alex program for math, so look forward to new information soon.
Very good, thank you. And then I'm going to touch on our science and social studies program for third grade. Obviously with COVID, it makes doing labs and science a challenge for sure. And so we'll be doing a lot more digital type or lessons, or we'll also incorporate experiments that we demonstrate for the kids. It would be great if everybody were able to have all their own lab equipment, and we would be able to do that. But it's a kind of a challenge for us this year with science. But we do use a great textbook for that. You'll see that come home on occasion if they need to finish something or maybe get prepared for a simple test over the concepts that we're working on. Feel free. That program is called Fusion as well, and it is the same series that they used in second grade. So if they were here, they would have kind of be familiar with that concept. We also added this year to the third grade program something called Mystery Science. Maybe your child has done that before, but Mystery Science is also it's a web-based interactive type program. Last week we did an activity where the students had their lab was for them to draw their hands, and they're acting like scientists and trying to figure out like questions and so forth. And that's just kind of a nice piece to get them involved and interact as much as possible. We will spend the first 9 weeks, so first quarter, on science in third grade. And then second quarter and third quarter, we're going to move into social studies. The reason we do those second and third quarter is second quarter will be, right up there when the election is, so we can kind of incorporate some of that into our day. And then also in February it is President's Day, so we kind of keep that flow with social studies. And then we'll pick up the last quarter, we'll pick up with science again, and we'll do the last 9 weeks of science. And that kind of is nice because that's spring for us, and that way we can kind of incorporate some activities with spring as well. Now for social studies, the program that we used for that is the same one that they used in second grade last year, where it'll give us little magazine type things to read and answer questions, and we'll have some basic assessments over those as well, and just kind of a little bit more real life type of social studies things too. Well, that's like the basics of our day as far as curriculum is concerned. Just a couple of last minute things to kind of make sure that you're aware of. Want to just make sure that I really kind of stress the homework. Mrs. Winkle did mention to you math. And in math, we do require the students to do homework almost every night, except for like tonight when it was an assessment. Then on the days that are assessments, there might not be a homework assignment, but for the most part, there is a homework assignment every night. And I cannot stress to you enough how important those fact practice assignments are. We will be getting into a period of time, and I believe it'll be very soon, where they have a different type. They'll have to be doing it orally and written, and they're going to ask you to help them with it. And over all my years of teaching, when kids are able to recall those facts, whether it be addition and subtraction or multiplication, whatever it is, a division, they are just so much more successful in their upper level math. So it's really important. It might seem tedious and frustrating to you right now, but I promise when they get older, they'll be appreciative of the fact that they memorized their math facts in third grade. And we try to use the planner as much as possible as well. So if you want to know if your child has any homework, take a look ask to see their planner, and see if they've got an assignment written in there. If they haven't written anything in their planner, ask them why. That is something that, we're trying to keep them accountable, and we're trying to teach them good habits. So that way when they move on to fourth grade, when the expectations change yet again, they are ready for fourth grade. Have anything else to add?
You covered it all.
Okay. Well, I got one more thing popped into my head, and that's just about getting them ready for fourth grade. That is our ultimate goal. And, when we shift from second grade to third grade, it's a huge transition. No longer are we really teaching them to learn. We're expecting them teaching them to read, excuse me. We're teaching them that they need to read to learn. And maybe you've heard that expression before, but it really is becoming, if your child comes home and says, well, Miss Misty wouldn't explain it to me, or Mrs. Winkle wouldn't explain it to me, chances are we're trying to get them to think through it and to start working through it on their own. And we would love for you to continue to help us with that at home as well. It's really easy for us as teachers or as parents to just go ahead and just give our kids the answers, because then we can move on to something else. But there's some validity behind the fact that they need to try to work through it. We don't want them struggling where there's tears involved, obviously, but sometimes when we kind of push through some of that, we realize how strong and how smart we really are. So just kind of remember that. Feel free, if you ever have any questions about anything, to email us, and you have our email address. We are sad that we don't actually get to see your faces and enjoy an evening with you this year, but we do look forward to that next year.
Yes.
All right. Well, take care and have a great holiday weekend.
Yes.